All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Nutrition at Noon. My name is Emily. I'm one of 10 in-store nutritionists with Giant. Today, we will be talking about how to up your Crockpot and Instant Pot game. Our webinar today will be about 15 minutes. First 10 minutes or so will be my best tips and strategies, and we'll end with a 5-minute live Q&A. So if you have any questions throughout the course of the presentation, please feel free to enter them in the Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen, and we'll get to them at the end. If you're new to webinars, welcome. Please be assured that all mics and cameras are off. We can't see you or hear you. So no matter what you have going on at your homes at this busy lunchtime hour, we're happy to have you with us. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So since I've been working from home recently, I've been cooking a lot. And I'm using new recipes, looking for new ingredients, new methods of cooking, and just generally trying to add more variety to my meal times. So today, I'm going to introduce you to my one true love in the kitchen, my number one favorite time-saving appliances, the Instant Pot and the Crockpot. So the Instant Pot and the Crockpot are pretty similar gadgets. They do a lot of the same things, but they do have some key differences. So in case you're still going back and forth on which one of these appliances might be best for you and your family, I want to make sure to outline the differences between them. So the Crockpot is that classic kitchen appliance. It was first introduced in the 1950s, but rose to household fame in the 1970s. And it's the more affordable of the two options, with base models around $15 to $20. The Crockpot's claim to fame is slow cooking. So cooking meals at a slow and low temperature, so you're spending less time in the kitchen. And Crockpots are very common. You may have grown up with one, or you might have one in your home right now. The Instant Pot, on the other hand, is a little newer. It debuted in the 2010s, and it's a little bit more expensive than the Crockpot, with base models around $60. The Instant Pot is a multi-cooker, so it has slow cooking functionality, just like the Crockpot, but it also made pressure cooking more of a common way of cooking in households these days. It also acts as a rice cooker, a yogurt maker, it has a saute function, and you can even get attachments to add like an air fryer, for example. Now, both the Crockpot and the Instant Pot are lauded across the internet as miracle gadgets. And it's very common to see them on blogs or on Instagram. People love to sing the praises of these two gadgets. And this is not a sales pitch, but I am definitely one of those people who will never go back to not owning one of these appliances ever again. Both the Crockpot and the Instant Pot are huge time savers. So they let you spend less time over the stove or over the oven and give you back some time in your evening to maybe spend with family or finish up working or whatever you're doing in your homes in the evening. Both the Crockpot and the Instant Pot work by setting and forgetting method of cooking. So you can put all your ingredients in the pot, let the machine do the work, and come back to it later. Now, I will say that this is another example of how they work a little bit differently. So if you're still trying to decide which one might be for you, this might help you out. The Crockpot is awesome for morning people. People who can get up, put all their ingredients in the Crockpot before work and come back to it in the evenings. If you're more like me and you're not so much of a morning person, the Instant Pot is definitely helpful. Pressure cooking really shortens the time that it spends cooking, so you can set it up a little later in the afternoon. But both the Crockpot and the Instant Pot make cleanup and dishes easy in the evening. It's just one pot to clean up. And they allow you to make nutritious and balanced meals. Right now, a lot of us are missing going out to restaurants, maybe getting some food that we wouldn't normally have in our homes over the weekend or something. The Crockpot and the Instant Pot allow you to have that gourmet style of cooking and develop new and sort of fancy flavors, but really save on some sugar, some fat, and some salt that you would have gotten at a restaurant. All right, so if I still haven't convinced you, then I want to make sure to go over the number one benefit to the Crockpot and the Instant Pot, and that is ease. So whether or not you have one of these appliances in your cabinet and maybe you don't use it very often, or you're still trying to decide if this is for you, I'm going to go through with you the building blocks of the easiest meal you'll make this week. All right, so first up are some slow cooker kitchen staples. So these are things that I always have in my refrigerator or in my pantry, because really these are the basis for any good crock pot or instant pot meal. So things like chicken broth, onions and garlic, brown rice, frozen vegetables, black beans. As long as my kitchen is stocked with these items, I know that I'm ready to go and start with a great instant pot or crock pot meal. All right, so step one to the easiest meal you'll make this week, pick your protein. So picking your protein is the best place to start when making one of these meals, because your protein helps you decide what other additives to put in your meal. So what produce you're gonna add, maybe what sauces or seasoning, it all starts with your protein. So you can pick whichever works best for you, whether it's chicken, breast, or thighs, or tenders. Maybe you're making a beef roast, you can do pork, or try a myriad of beans if you want to keep it vegetarian. I'll give you a little bit of a pro tip. The Instant Pot has a saute function at the bottom of the pan, so you can both brown and cook your meal all in one pot, again, saving dishes to do later on. All right, step two to the easiest meal you'll make this week, adding in a whole grain. So the crock pot and the Instant Pot, they make whole grains taste great. And whole grains are really important. Of course, they give that fiber to our meal, really help to up the nutrition content. So whether it's something like brown rice or quinoa or barley, I have potatoes in here as well. Although not technically a whole grain, potatoes are starchy carbohydrates, so they fall into this category. All right, step three is packing your meal with produce. So if you're anything like me and you tend to use a lot of the same vegetables over and over and a lot of the same methods of cooking, making those vegetables in the Instant Pot or in the crock pot, it kind of unlocks a whole new flavor profile. You're getting some of the same foods, but enjoying them in a different way. So any type of produce here, throw it in your crock pot or your Instant Pot, whether it's frozen vegetables, canned vegetables, or maybe fresh produce like peppers or carrots. They use a lot of broccoli and zucchini. Remember, fresh, frozen, and canned, it all counts when it comes to produce. And we have another webinar from a few weeks ago on this very topic that you can check out on our YouTube page. And then step four to the easiest meal you'll make this week, don't forget to add a liquid. 9 times out of 10, this liquid is going to be chicken broth or beef broth. So I always have these two items in my cabinet or in my refrigerator, just in case I want to get started on an Instant Pot meal. You need the liquid to add flavor, but it also helps to lock in that moisture, especially in your protein food. And if you're using the Instant Pot to pressure cook, you need that liquid especially because the boiling liquid creates steam, and that's what creates that pressure that's used to cook. All right, and lastly, step 5 to the easiest meal you'll make this week, flavor, flavor, flavor. So it's important to make sure that you're adding some spices, some seasonings to give you that flavor, and you can find an array of items in the grocery store for no matter what you're cooking. So whether or not you are looking for spices that fit a specific meal like chili or chicken marsala, we have that for you, or you can find spices that work for a specific protein food like that poultry seasoning, or that fit a specific flavor profile like the garlic and herb Mrs. Dash. One of my favorite shortcuts that you can use in your Instant Pot or your crock pot are those Campbell's skillet and slow cooker sauces. You just dump them in your cooker with the protein, with your produce, and you get this gourmet restaurant quality type meal for a lot less sugar, fat, and salt than you would out at a restaurant. All right, so now I'm going to walk you through a couple of my favorite Instant Pot recipes, things I make all the time in my home, so you can really get an idea of what these things can do. So first of all, pork ragu. This is my 100% #1, no contest needed, favorite thing to make in the Instant Pot. Traditional pork ragu has got really developed flavors. It has really tender meat. And that comes from hours and hours and hours of simmering on a stove at a very low temperature. But the Instant Pot changes all of this. In less than 2 hours, you can have the same well-developed profile. People will have thought that you have been cooking for hours. I like to make this a one-pot meal, so I like to include a bagged salad on the side, so it's still less dishes to clean up, but I'm still getting that extra nutrition and extra fiber from the produce. All right, spring green risotto. This is another one of my favorites. I actually got this recipe from our online savory magazine. So this recipe is awesome for this time of year. You use those bright veggies, things like asparagus and peas. It adds color, it adds vitamins, it adds fiber. And you can make this in your Instant Pot using the saute and slow cooker functions, or you can make this in your crock pot. So no matter which appliance you have, this is a great recipe to try. And then lastly, Instant Pots are not just for dinner, they also can be used for breakfast. I like to make these breakfast tacos. This recipe also came from our online savory magazine. It takes about an hour and a half. You can add fresh veggies or frozen veggies into your Instant Pot. It actually cooks the eggs for you. I like to top it with avocado. If any of these recipes sound like something that you'd like to try, email us at nutrition@giantfood.com and we'd be happy to share the recipe with you. Now, I can't give a slide to every single one of my favorite recipes, so I wanted to put together a little compilation of some other things that I love. Did you know that you can use your Instant Pot or your crock pot to slow cook oatmeal overnight? You can set it before you go to bed, sleep all night, wake up, and you have a warm breakfast waiting for you with nothing to do in the morning. Or you can go from dry beans to cooked beans with minimal effort. Typically, it takes a really long time to take dry beans, soak them, boil them. You can do this in the Instant Pot or the crock pot and basically have no effort. I like to make chicken tortilla soup or garden vegetable soup. Beef pot roast is one of my favorite meals. And you can't forget about dessert. One of my favorite desserts to make in the Instant Pot are poached pears with cinnamon. So you get that fiber content from the pear, but it's an awesome sweet treat for the evenings. And if you're looking for more resources or more recipes, connect with us online. At giantfood.com/nutrition, you can connect with one of us nutritionists on a one-on-one basis for a consultation. We also have online classes and events and our daily Nutrition at Noon webinar, just like this one. Our blog has inspiring recipes and education. And check out our Nutrition Made Easy podcast. It serves up inspiration no matter what your goals are. All right, so we only have a few minutes left, so I'm going to check and see if we have any questions. Okay, we have one question here. Can you use water versus broth? Absolutely. You need that liquid to add the moisture, to add kind of that pressure if you're using pressure cooker. But if you want to use water as a lower sodium alternative, absolutely you can. The benefit of broth, of course, is that it adds some flavor. So I like to use those when I'm choosing things like beef or chicken. But look for those low sodium versions if you're doing so. But yes, you can use water, absolutely. Okay, I have another question here. Can you use frozen chicken in the Instant Pot? So this is actually a question with an answer that might surprise you. Typically with slow cooking, it's recommended that you fully defrost your chicken before you put it in your crock pot. And that's because crock pot uses low temperatures. So the chicken sort of hangs out in that danger zone where bacteria can grow for too long. The Instant Pot, however, cooks everything at a high temperature and really fast. So you can actually go from frozen meat to a fully cooked meal in about 2 hours. So that makes it, again, just a lot easier for a weeknight meal. Okay, and then I think we have time for one more question. Okay, we have a question here. Can the pressure get too high in the Instant Pot, or how do you manage the pressure? So the pressure that builds, it all has to do with the volume that's in your Instant Pot. So it actually comes with instructions so that you can help to prevent any issues, but it's recommended to keep the overall volume to less than about 2/3 of the entire container full. As long as it's filled below that 2/3 mark, which is outlined for you on the Instant Pot itself, then you won't have to worry about any pressure building up. It's just when it gets overly full, that's when maybe the pressure would get too high and things might get overcooked. If you have any more questions that I didn't get to answering, please feel free to email us at nutrition@giantfood.com. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us. I love being here with you today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of Nutrition at Noon. Thank you.